Now to a story about an American embassy during a revolution in the Middle East that is stormed by an angry mob. Not Benghazi, but Iran, 1979. The hostage-taking of American diplomats was the lead story on television night and day for 444 days. The crisis helped make Jimmy Carter a one-term president. Now, a rarely told true story of how 6 of those diplomats were rescued in a daring CIA escape. Filmed by director and actor Ben Affleck and co-produced with George Clooney. The film is called Argo. I sat down with Ben Affleck this week and asked just what drew him to the story.
I knew that it would be resonant in some ways, talking about revolution and the unintended consequences of revolution and what it meant for us to get in business with leaders in the Middle East. I had no idea that it would become, really tragically resonant, as you mentioned, what happened in Benghazi, and that I could look at the footage that I used to research this movie from 30 plus years ago, it would look almost exactly like what was on the news right now. That had a kind of profound effect on me. It's, one wonders, are we just repeating ourselves? What's it going to take to get out of this cycle?
When you look at the opening sequences of Argo, it's this assault on the embassy, and it's so gripping. How do you create that kind of scene as a director?
That was one of my biggest concerns, because I knew that it needed to have that sort of raw energy. So we had to get several thousand extras, and since we were in Turkey, we had to teach them Farsi slogans, and we really had to just sort of try to maintain folks' energy level. The real challenge was that students. It was a students' revolution, and most of the students were in school, and most folks of working age were working. So most of the extras that we could get to do that were people who had retired. So we had a kind of a retirees revolution.
How did you get involved with this?
Because I recognized right away that this was a thriller, this was a comedy, this was a movie about political intrigue and the CIA, and it was all true. And if I could make that a cogent story, I'd have the opportunity to do something really special. And this is my favorite thing I've ever been involved in.
The CIA is controversial. Heroes to some, villains to others. But you have managed to really latch on to an heroic aspect of a gutsy, creative guy. Tell me about your character whom you play.
For a long time, I think the CIA was used, particularly after the Nixon era and Vietnam, as a kind of bad guy prop in movies. If someone did something bad, it was a secret cabal of CIA agents or what have you. And then post 9/11, people, I think, changed their view a little bit and said, these are hardworking Americans who are sacrificing a lot on our behalf to try to keep us safe, among other things. So for me, I want to show the kind of brown bag nature of the CIA, not the cool, super sexy action movie version, but the real version where you have to be away from your wife and you have to be away from your kids and you can't tell people where you're going and where there's a bureaucracy that's stymieing you. The guy that I played, the CIA agent, is a real American hero. His name is Tony Mendez, and he won the Intelligence Star for this mission. He's been named one of the 50 most important CIA operatives of all time.
I got an idea.
They're a Canadian film crew for a science fiction movie.
I fly into Tehran. We all fly out together as a film crew.
There's something really, I think, classy and elegant and fundamentally in the American character, in that sort of service that the CIA perform, that it's not done for riches, it's not done for credit, it's done because it's the right thing to do. And even when he gets a medal, he can never tell anybody or show anybody, and you're supposed to die with your secrets. You're supposed to not do it for glory, but for country and because it's the right thing to do. And so that was a really nice value to reflect. And our clandestine service folks sacrifice for us a great deal. And also, as we've seen, again, tragically, our diplomats who go overseas and put themselves in harm's way, like the 6 diplomats in this movie, sacrifice a great deal. So the clandestine service and the foreign service, to me, were something that was really nice to profile in this movie.
When you look back at that experience and recreating Tehran, do you think about the geopolitics of it?
We're still entangled with them in this thorny, an antagonistic way. I tried to make a movie that, as much as possible, couldn't be politicized. Nobody could wrap themselves in the flag of it and say, here, see, this proves my point about doing one thing or the other. I knew we were going to come up before an election. I did not want to have it my Republican friends and Democrat friends, I want to both be able to see it and enjoy it. So I stuck to just sort of telling the facts as well as I could, and hoped that I wouldn't step on any landmines, metaphorically.
Back in the day, I knew, a number of reporters knew, that the Canadians were hiding in the residence. We knew the numbers of missing hostages and that there were 6 that were not accounted for, and a little bit of reporting. We kept that all secret. But the CIA is very good at keeping secrets, apparently, because we had no idea this subplot was going on.
Yes, the CIA seemed pretty good at keeping that secret. People's lives depended on it. As that was part of some of the documentaries that you mentioned, that there were people who sort of started finding out because they could do the math. And the State Department never confirmed the actual number, because obviously that would create a discrepancy.
How much of Tony Mendez' story was accurate in terms of the idea sounds crazy, selling it to the bureaucracy, getting all the sign-off for it? How hard was it?
It's completely accurate in the sense that they escaped the embassy and they were staying there, and no one knew sort of how to get them out. There were no real ideas. At first, people weren't focusing on those 6; they were focusing on the embassy, and then they turned to the 6 and said, "What are we going to do about these people? Time is running out."
And what do you want the audience to take away from this?
To me, it's about the interconnectedness of people. It's about nations cooperating and using diplomacy for the sake of peace. And solving problems and saving lives peacefully.
The heroism of Tony Mendez, the CIA operative, was declassified by President Clinton in 1997, so his intelligence star, his medal, was then known, but it was not widely explained. And now in this movie, which opens tonight, Argo is the movie, the story is finally told. Ben Affleck, of course, the director and the star of Argo.